Good morning, everyone, and thanks to the organizers for this opportunity to be the first speaker at the Black Heroes of Mathematics Conference. I would like to say a special thank you to Naira for recommending me to the committee to speak at this conference. So my topic for today is on the journey of female African mathematicians, which I think is critical at a time where we are having a lot of discussions about diversity in mathematics, about we being intentional about giving a lot more opportunities to not just females, but also Black mathematicians. So I'm so happy that I'll be speaking about this at this conference. Great. So this talk is about my story, about being a female African mathematician, where it has taken me to, and the steps I have taken to address some of the challenges I have seen. So I'll start with my journey. So here I'll talk about my PhD journey. So I come from Accra. So Accra is the capital of Ghana, and Ghana is in West Africa. So a few years ago, I started my journey from Accra to Glasgow to start my PhD in mathematics studies. And I remember leaving the airport. This is a picture of my family with me saying goodbyes to me. And for me, it was a very bold step of following what I dreamt to be the career that I wanted to do. And I'm very grateful to my family for supporting me, because it's not very often that you have family supporting you to study a subject such as mathematics. But I also like to say thank you to my supervisors who have been my mentors throughout. So who are here? So thank you, Ken Brown and Owish Kramer, who have been my greatest supporters throughout. So this was me at the beginning of my journey. So I was going to the UK, my first time there. It had been a big dream to study in the UK. So it was a dream come true. The next day I was in Glasgow. Yes, the weather wasn't great, but yes, I was there. And the following day was a Monday and I had to be in class. I remember walking into the classroom and realizing that I was the only female in the class. So I was wondering, okay, maybe it was because it was a particular course, or if it was for another course, we could find another female. And it happened to be the same in all other classes for that year. So I asked myself, how many, where are the females in mathematics? It hadn't been so for me. Looking back at my undergraduate studies, during my undergraduate studies, we had about 90 students in final year, and about 10 of us were females. So when you went to class, you saw females who you could interact with, you could have study group discussions with, who you could support each other. But during my master's, which was at Ames, Ghana, we had 30% of the class being female, so which meant that you had a lot more females. Afterwards, I went to ICTP, and as ICTP, we were 9 students from all over the world, and 4 of us out of the 9 were females, so which was a very good representation. But now moving from ICTP to PhD, I realized, okay, the gap keeps on narrowing. So I asked myself, will I really fit in here? Or how would I survive here? So it led me to ask myself a lot of questions. And my question was, okay, do we have other females who have pursued this journey, and not just females, but also Africans, because I would like to draw inspiration from them. So it led me to a quest to search online first for female African mathematicians who had blazed this trail. So it took me to this article, which is such a coincidence that article had contributions from Naira about 5 famous Black mathematicians. So there are 5 mathematicians here, and the great thing about this picture is that 3 out of the 5 are females, which means that, okay, we have a very good number of us doing mathematics, but probably we are not being showcased, so people don't hear about us. So let me take you just through a quick review of the 3 females here. So one name that stands out here is Katherine Johnson. So Katherine was a mathematician with the NASA who did the calculations which put the first American in space. And for me, what is so inspiring about her story was that in 2017, there was a movie about her contributions to NASA. And I remember watching it in the cinema with friends, and I was in awe that there was such a brilliant, inspiring story about a Black mathematician, and for so many years it had not been told. But now it's now in the cinemas, and people from all over the world can watch her story and be inspired by it. So when I was watching that movie, I was really inspired that yes, she was someone who blazed a trail, and in spite of all the challenges that she faced, she was able to thrive and be successful at what she did. So I was really inspired by Catherine's story. But it also led me to find someone else who was Kathleen Akikiro. So I remember reading about her. So one thing that stood out about her was that she was a Black female mathematician who had published in a respectable mathematics journal. That's the Annals of Mathematics. And yes, which is the best mathematics journal in the US. So I was really inspired that, okay, this is Kathleen is a British born with Nigerian descent, but she had gone on to not just publish, but she was also the first Black to receive a Sloan Fellowship. So Sloan Fellowship in mathematics. So Sloan Fellowships in the US are given to promising researchers, and she was the first Black to receive the Sloan Fellowship. So I was, okay, so these are two women who have been the first to do outstanding things in their countries and in their respective fields. So I was really inspired by them. And the third is Mogeti Faken. So she is South African, and she is the first female to receive a PhD in mathematics education in South Africa. So I remember reading about her, and she's on the continent of Africa where I am. So I could relate more with her, and watching her career, she didn't just become the first to receive a PhD in mathematics, but she also supports young careers. So she has scholarship schemes to support young students from deprived backgrounds so they can also have an education. And she didn't just do mathematics, but she has risen through the ranks to become the vice chancellor of the University of Cape Town. So I said, okay, so as a female African mathematician, you can excel in your research, you can also excel in leadership, and also affect policy making in your country, because if you are a vice chancellor, I believe you can make a lot of impact in terms of access to education for a wide range of students. So I was really inspired by this list, and thanks Naira for putting this up. But it also led me to another quest, which was this. Are there many such female African mathematicians whose stories are not being told? Where are they? What are their stories? What are their inspirations? What are some of the challenges that they face? Can we draw from their strengths? Can we learn from their mistakes so that we can also excel at what we are doing? So I checked and I couldn't find resources where we could tell places where these stories of female African mathematicians were told in terms of videos and stories. So I decided that I was going to tell these stories, and that has brought me here, because I believe it was because of these stories that I tell that I've been invited here. Great, so it takes me to the first person that I profiled. So for me, the focus was to use social media, especially YouTube and Facebook, to reach a wide audience of girls in Africa who cannot see female math professors in their environment, but would want to be inspired to pursue careers in mathematics. Personally, when I was an undergrad, the head of school was, and of the mathematics school was female. And for me, it was a big inspiration for me that I could see myself in her, that I could also pursue a PhD in mathematics and also excel at it. But for many Africans, we don't have this. So my goal was that through social media, I can reach a child in Sudan, I can reach a child in Kenya, I can reach a child in Uganda with stories of great African female mathematicians, so that their stories will inspire these young ones and provide online mentors to these young girls. So it took me to my first interview. So here is Chelsea. She's currently at Rice University. And we first met at a conference in Edinburgh. And it was a conference on linking algebra with geometry. So I heard a lot about Chelsea from my supervisors. So I heard, yeah, she supports a lot of early career researchers. She's great. She's this, but meeting her gave me a lot of inspiration. So this is Chelsea Walton. She is also, so there's also a similarity between her and Katherine. How? So Chelsea was the fifth Black to receive a Sloan Fellowship in mathematics. And that's also phenomenal. So I met Chelsea and I remember asking her if I could record an interview with her to share on our social media platforms. And she was so happy to give us an interview. And from the interview, we got to find out about how she grew up, her motivations for studying mathematics, what her highlights had been, and what her aspirations had been. And I remember sharing her interview on our social media platforms, and it's receiving a lot of views and shares on social media. When we go to even a list of viewers, you have people from all over Africa watching us. And I could see that, okay, this way of telling the stories of female African mathematicians is going to inspire a lot of young girls in Africa. So this is Chelsea, and I'm really grateful to her for supporting us through this idea. So next is Eunice Mureithi. So yes, Eunice Mureithi. I remember going for a conference at the University of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania. So that was a conference organized by the UAUMP and the ICTP. And I remember we going and we having the opening ceremony, and the person who walked on stage to welcome us was the head of school, and she happened to be Eunice Mureithi. I was in awe that there was a female who was heading a mathematics department. And she wasn't just heading the department, she was also a professor of mathematics. So whilst preparing for this talk, I went online to search for professors of mathematics from the continent of Africa. And I'll use my country, Ghana, as an example. So I'm currently a postdoc in Ghana, and looking at all our universities in Ghana, we do not have a female professor in mathematics. So it is very profound to have a female who has risen through the ranks to become a professor in mathematics. If we don't have a female professor in mathematics in Ghana, I'm sure is the same in some other African countries. But can we use the female professors from Tanzania, like Prof. Mureithi, to showcase to young girls in Ghana that you could pursue a career in mathematics and become a professor? Yes, that is what we did. So I remember sharing this interview on social media, and I just checked yesterday, and on Facebook, we already had 1.4K views. And these audience come from all over. So not just from Tanzania, we have audience from Uganda, from Kenya, from even from the UK and the US. And you could see that we are really impacting the lives of young girls, because we get messages from these young girls that they are now seeing the diversity in the career options available when you study mathematics, and they are also seeing other female mentors, which is inspiring them that they can also pursue careers in mathematics, even though they do not see female mentors around them. Thirdly, I'll talk about Ulrika Wilson. So I met Ulrika just last year. So Chelsea, so let me go back to Chelsea. So Chelsea organizes a conference. So she's part of the organizers of a conference called the Women in Non-Commutative Algebra and Representation Theory, WINAT. So the first WINAT was organized at the BHoM Center, and which was very successful. So what is WINAT? Bring together early and established researchers, females from all over the world, put them in groups, let them work on projects remotely, and then meet for a year to discuss the progress with it. And this was successful after the first round, with people coming out with a lot of publications. So the second winner took place in Leeds last year, and I was very fortunate to be selected to join this, and I was in a group with Chelsea. So Chelsea is one of my mentors, and she doesn't just do mathematics, but she also provides support and avenues for young career researchers like me to excel at mathematics. So let me go back to Ulrika Wilson. So I met Ulrika when we went for Winners 2 in Leeds last year. And for me, it was also, she was the second, she's an associate professor. And I was also inspired by the fact that at that conference, we were just three Black mathematicians, Chelsea, Ulrika, and myself. So I asked her if I could also tell her story. And it turned out that she was also a 2019 American Women in Mathematics Fellow. So in that year, there were a number of fellows named, and she was the only Black in the list, which I think should be celebrated. So we have an interview with Ulrika on our channels, and one highlight of what she said during her interview was that a lot of us think that mathematics is easy. Of course, it can be easy, but we first have to understand that mathematics is challenging, but you have to find ways of supporting yourself. So if you are trying something and you find it hard to do, you seek support. You seek support from your tutors, from your lecturers, but also seek support from mentors. So Ulrika is involved in a lot of mentoring activities like EDGE and others, and she has even received awards for her mentoring activities. So it was great to interview her and to share her story with young girls, not just in Africa, but across the world, that you could study mathematics and excel. So my next question was that, why are there few females in mathematics, and especially female African mathematicians? So I've been thinking about this question a lot, especially now that I am back in Ghana. In Ghana, we have a very small mathematics community. So I asked myself, okay, you finish your PhD, you start a postdoc. As a postdoc researcher, you're supposed to do independent research. But of course, you need mentors who will guide you on this journey. But how many mentors do we have in Africa who will be willing to be your postdoc mentors? Not just even mentors being available. How many funding opportunities do we have here to support you to do a postdoc? So my postdoc is funded by Google AI and AIMS Ghana, which I'm very grateful for. But how many female African mathematicians finish their PhDs and get support to do their postdocs? After your postdoc, get opportunities to collaborate with international researchers and get research grants to either travel or invite researchers. It's very hard to come by. So this led me to a lot of questions. So why are there few female African mathematicians? I think the first challenge has to do with funding opportunities. Even for starting a PhD, there are very few opportunities for Africans to get PhD funding to study either in our home country or in Europe or in the US. And when you find one, is of course it's very competitive. But in my next slide, I'll talk about certain organizations who are really supporting in terms of funding for not just African mathematicians, but for women in STEM from developing countries. But also one challenge would be that there aren't a lot of mentors to mentor you along your journey. I'll commend my mentors, Ken Brown and Ulrich Kramer, who are here, who have really supported me, because I don't think I would have gotten this PhD in mathematics without their support. So I remember when I was a student at AIMS Ghana, and Uli coming to Ghana. So it was his first time in Ghana, and he was teaching us a course in algebra. And for me, I'd seen a lot of algebra courses in my undergrad, so I was really excited about it. And I remember going to, so at Ames, it's a 24-hour learning environment. We live with our lecturers in the same residence, so you can wake up at any time and knock on your lecturer's door if you're in their offices to ask for questions. So I remember I was always in the morning knocking on Lee's office door, asking a lot of questions about the notes he had given in the previous lecture. And for me, I could see someone who was passionate about mathematics, who was Uli, but he also saw the passion in me that I wanted to do mathematics. And from there, he recommended me to go to ICTP. And back then, he was in Glasgow. So he also, when I was whilst I was at ICTP, we applied for a fellowship which enabled me to go to Glasgow for my PhD. But I asked myself, how many young girls like me have talent, but do not have people, mentors who will hold their hand, tell them about the opportunities, give them the necessary reference, and guide them through it. I see that to be a very big challenge, that we have very few mentors who are intentionally supporting female African mathematicians to achieve their dreams of pursuing careers in mathematics. So thanks Uli and Ken. So Ken also, when Uli moved from Glasgow to Dresden and Ken took me on as his PhD student. I'm really grateful for your mentorship, and even my current mentor at Ames Ghana, Prince Osei, who gave me this opportunity to come to Ames Ghana as a postdoc. So these are the challenges we face, and I believe that with time we are addressing some of these, and I've also found ways of helping to address some of these challenges. Great. So next I'll talk about some organizations who are intentionally supporting female African mathematicians. So I'll start with Ames because I work at Ames. So Ames is the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, and we are a network of Pan-African centers across Africa who are leading scientific innovation and research. And we believe that the next Einstein will come from Africa. So what do? We bring together the best students from Africa to study at our centers across Africa, South Africa, in Senegal, in Ghana, in Cameroon, and in Rwanda. Bring together students, bring together top lecturers from all over the world who come here for 3 weeks to teach a course. And what is the goal? The goal is that in a few years' time, the Africans that are being trained will be the ones leading research in the mathematical sciences, but also helping to solve the challenges that we face in Africa. And what is great about the Ames story is that Ames is intentional about giving opportunities to females. So at Ames, every year students are admitted into the MSc programs, and 30% of each cohort is made up of females. So in my year, we were about 44 students, and over 30% of us were females, which I think is commendable, because if we say there are not a lot of female Africans in studying mathematics, it's because we haven't been given the opportunity. But if organizations like Ames will give the opportunity intentionally to 30% of Africans to study mathematics, female Africans to study mathematics, then it will go a long way to bridge that gap. So I'll use my year group as an example. So in my year group, we had 12 females in our class. And currently, 2 of us already have our PhDs in mathematics related fields, and some others are also pursuing PhDs in mathematics. So if out of 12 students, after 5 years, 2 of us have PhDs in mathematics, I think is something commendable. So organizations like Ames are intentionally supporting women so that we can pursue our careers in mathematics. Next, I'll talk about 2 organizations. The first will be the Schlumberger Foundation Faculty for the Future Fellowship. So Schlumberger is an oil company, and in 2004, they started a new initiative. What was this new initiative? The initiative was to fund females from developing countries to study at top universities abroad and return to their home countries as faculty members to improve the teaching and learning of STEM at our home universities. Why did Shilumbaje do this? Did this because it realized that they didn't have a lot of female engineers on their orbit. They didn't have a lot of females represented in their company. So they took that bold step to be intentional about supporting females to pursue careers in STEM. And I'm very grateful to Shilumbaje Foundation for funding my PhD studies at University of Glasgow over the 4-year period. So over the 4-year period, my tuition and my living expenses was paid by Shilumbaje Foundation. So I don't think I'll probably have gained my PhD in mathematics if it hadn't been for the support of Shilumbaje Foundation, but also for other females from not just Africa, but also developing countries. They are having the opportunity to remove that barrier of the financial constraints and pursue their careers in mathematics. And I remember in the School of Mathematics, we also had another Kenyan student who was also funded by Shilumbaje Foundation. So at least I know two females from Africa who in my year were funded by Shilumbaje to pursue careers in mathematics. And the great thing is that both of us are back in Africa to support teaching and learning of mathematics in Africa. So I am here at AIMS Ghana teaching and supporting the learning of mathematics. But my colleague, Kamilin Olendo, is now at Maseno University in Kenya, also teaching and supporting mathematics. And it's so great to see that we have gained all these experiences from our studies, but we are also bringing it here to improve the learning and teaching of mathematics in Africa. So we are very grateful to organizations like Shilumbaje Foundation for giving us the opportunity to pursue our dreams, but also return to our country to promote the study of mathematics. So next, I'll talk about the African Women in Mathematics Association. So when you do, I remember when I was looking for female mentors, when I searched for online for female African mathematicians, it was one of the first websites that shows up. And this is an organization where female African mathematicians, no matter how few we are, we come together to support. So there's support in terms of we have their colloquiums and conferences where we the females present on our research, and also there's also a catalog of female portraits of female African mathematicians. So I remember when I was preparing for this talk, I was looking for the representation of female African mathematicians across Africa. So I saw a database of female African mathematicians from Ethiopia, from Nigeria, from Tunisia, from Uganda, from Kenya, and all over. And all these resources are available on the website of the African Women in Mathematics Association. And I would like to commend Marie-Francois for the great work she's doing. So I emailed her when I was preparing for this talk to ask for resources, and she willingly provided them for me. And I think they are doing a great job in promoting African women in mathematics, and we commend them for this. Great. So I've talked about the challenges that we have faced, and I've talked about organizations that are promoting women in mathematics. So I talked about AIMS Ghana, I talked about the Shilumbaje Foundation Faculty for the Future, and I talked about the African Women in Mathematics Association. But personally, I wanted to do something to promote female African mathematicians. So I remember about 2 years ago, I was thinking of ideas on what to do. So I thought of, okay, let's start this new project called the Femafricmaths. So FEM stands for female, Afrique stands for African, and mathematician stands for mathematicians. But what is our vision? Our vision is to see young girls being confident to take up careers in mathematics-related fields. And our mission is to show the diversity in career options available when you study mathematics. When I was an undergrad, most of us thought that if you studied mathematics, it was more about teaching. You would be a teacher. But moving on into a PhD, I realized that when I was a PhD student, some of the students who were ahead of me and were finishing their PhDs were getting jobs in industry, in the finance industry, in software engineering, in accounting, in diverse fields. But in Africa, very few of us see these diversities in career options. So a lot of girls love mathematics, but because they do not see the options available, they choose to study medicine or other courses because they feel they can pursue careers there. So I decided, okay, I was going to consciously tell the stories of female African mathematicians. So African, I mean by Africans who are born African, but also Africans in the diaspora. So anytime I had the opportunity to go to conferences, I would interview them and put their stories on social media so that the young girl watching will see that, yes, you can study mathematics and become a professor, but you can also study mathematics and become an information security expert. You can study mathematics and become a data scientist. You can study mathematics and still become a physicist, a financial mathematician, or even an economist. There are diverse careers available. So we started the Femafricmaths project, and we already have a lot of following on social media. On Facebook, we have over 1.3K followers. We have followers on Instagram, on Twitter. And our goal is that we want to see every young girl in Africa to see that when you study mathematics, there are diverse career options available. Great. So that will take us to a short video about what we do at Femafricmaths and some of the females that we have interviewed. So let's watch this video about Femafricmaths. Hello, welcome to the Femafricmaths YouTube channel. We are a network of female African mathematicians transforming Africa using mathematics. Our mission is to inspire young girls about the different career options available when you study mathematics.
Thinking of mathematics, I didn't really see someone to inspire me in that field, but I've always had this thought in my mind, looking at my community where I come from. When I look at the people that are there, most of them, they are not in the field of science or anyone thinking of doing mathematics. And it's such a community where people will be telling you that as a woman, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. But I've always taught myself that I can still challenge myself to break that bridge which has been there, that a lady cannot do certain programs, a lady cannot do certain courses. But I've taught myself that, okay, so since they say no one can do it, I think if there is no one who has done it or there is no one who can do it, it can start from.
I come from a fishing community, and you see poverty and teenage pregnancy. And ever since like a child, I told myself I would make a change. And poverty really inspires me that I would want to do something to help people, especially in the fishing community, that poverty would not be a barrier for them to succeed in life. So I would say when I see poverty, it inspires me to strive forward.
I would say that my first algebra course was very, very tough. So tough that I ended up being an algebraist. So actually, in college, I was a really good student. I got all A's, all 4.0s in all subjects, except my first abstract algebra course. So I think I like a challenge, and math is definitely it. I like the clear, precise thinking that you need in order to do mathematics. There's no wishy-washiness. I mean, you're either right or wrong.
So I would say, math is hard. So when you have trouble and you're having stumbling blocks, don't interpret that as you not being good fit for mathematics. You absolutely are. The key to mathematics is not quitting. Basically, sort of don't stop and keep asking questions. And so yeah, my advice would be to find a mentor, really that simply. Find many mentors, you know, and then ultimately take all the advice you get and figure out what works best for you. That's all you can do.
Feel like such NLPs, you know, has been applied in the European countries. Yeah, so it's not something new.
No, I mean
but then
in our context.
Yeah, in our context, it's very new. And I think Ghana NLP is one of the pioneers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you
and I'm part of it. Because I'm a volunteer at Ghana NLP. And what we seek to do is we seek to build models, you know, collect data and build models. Yeah, so that we could have a lot of NLP applications in Ghana, you know, and not only Ghana, but also want to spread our tentacles across Africa, so that the ordinary Ghanaian could be able to utilize the resources online, because we know most of our people cannot speak English, and most of the resources are written in English. Yeah. So they have the smartphones, but they don't know how to use them. Yeah. So if you could translate them automatically to our local language, and I think that we could be able to put the livelihoods of people.
That's so cool. We do this by interviewing maths queens who have studied mathematics and gone on to do other things. So we've interviewed people who are professors, people who are infectious disease modelers, people who are into information security and the rest. And our vision is to see girls being confident to take up careers in mathematics. Thank you. So thank you so much for the audience. In my local language, we say midase. So midase for listening to my talk and looking forward to the future discussion. Thank you.